It is just a huge honor to be sitting in my home the Friday before Christmas with my buddy Jim Ferrell, who I've known probably for 3 decades. Jim, thank you so much for driving an hour all the way over to my house. What I loved about Jim Ferrell is he had the Dental Fax Weekly for how many years? When did you start
24.
that? 24 years. And if you're an MBA like me and you like to hear about what's going on with all the big dental companies and all that kind of stuff, man, you were just, I don't know where you got all that information. I mean, every week, this is how old we are, every week I'd get a fax. You probably don't know what a fax machine is. Should we explain, how do we explain to millennials what a fax is?
It's like an email machine.
Yeah, you know what? And when I enter people's contacts, I'm still entering the fax number. And about a year ago, I'm like, why am I entering a fax number? I haven't sent anybody a fax.
You will be surprised that people who started out with me in 1994 who got it by fax, I still had about 15 that refused to go on email. They still wanted it by fax.
It was just amazing. You must have had the website. How many companies were you tracking on that?
Oh, gosh.
How many websites did you visit every week to find all that information?
I had about 9 that I visited every day.
9 that you visited every day?
Yeah.
I mean, the same 9?
Yep. And it was,
And who were those 9? Do you remember?
Oh, I'd have to kill you if I told you, Howard.
Yeah?
No, but it was all, there are wire services, there are news aggregators, kind of like the Drudge Report, that have a lot of dental information on them. Dentistry IQ is one of them. And then after a few years, I got probably a third of the information was sent to me directly from the companies.
So Dentistry IQ?
Yeah, that was one of them that I would use.
Or did you say dental? What was the other one? What's the other dental website? Doctor by Customer.
Yes, Doctor by Customer.
Was that one of that you went to?
Yeah, I looked at that one as well.
Which one did you look at more, Doctor by Customer or Dentistry IQ?
Some of I got more from the wire services.
Wire services?
And I did those too.
Doctor by Customer's actually out of Tucson.
Tucson, yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him on the show for 2 years.
Their parent company is in Maryland.
Yeah, and they own
it's IV.
They own a veterinary. Their main deal is a veterinary play.
Yeah.
And dentistry is kind of a side thing. But so I wanted to ask you before we get started on your new deal. I lived through, I graduated school in '87, March, and then October was Black Monday and the market crashed. I rode the wave from 94 to 2000 where the 4 stocks were Microsoft, Dell, Cisco, and Intel. And now we're at a bubble again, and it's called the FANG. Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, and Microsoft. And what I really like about Microsoft is they have like 7 different major income streams. Whereas Facebook and Google are still 95% of their revenue is just ads. But I noticed that a stock agency out of New York, Manhattan, issued a warning on Patterson and Shine because they thought Amazon was getting into supplies. And their stock tumbled like 5% on that news. Do you think Amazon's going to be a major player? I mean, you know the dental industry better than anyone I know.
I think Amazon may sell materials. I think they're going to have a hard time with equipment, simply because it
needs installed and maintenance.
You've got to have it installed. You got to have maintenance situations set up. Now, having said that, Panoramic X-Ray Corporation out of Fort Wayne don't have any salespeople. They sell the panoramic X-rays by direct mail, believe it or not. And they have a rental program that, once they get you in and you pay per shot, then eventually they make you a sweet deal to buy the machine.
Ryan, can you send me the text of that? It's Panoramic, what's it called?
Panoramic Corporation.
It's out of Dallas?
No, Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Fort Wayne, Hoosier.
Yeah, but
Hoosier.
Well, so am I.
And they are you from Indiana?
Yeah.
And they just figured out what a Hoosier was.
Who's there?
No, they actually did. It was on NPR. Did you hear about it?
Yeah.
So back in the day when they were laying railroads, they were really efficient. They'd lay like 5-10 miles a day.
Yeah.
So as they're going through towns, it wouldn't make any sense to introduce everybody. So if you work for, Harry's Railroad, you just say, I'm one of Harry's boys. And there's this lady on NPR that was doing a stock analyst book of the history of the railroad industry. And sure enough, there was a railroad company owned by a man named Hoosier that laid a railroad clear across Indiana. So all those workers, 5 to 10 miles a day, if you say, who are you? I'm one of Hoosier's men.
So that's where the Hoosier
That's
came
the
from.
definitive deal. I mean, she was a PhD librarian history buff. So, I mean, I think the same reason Dentaltown was successful is because why Patterson and Shine will be successful, and the fact that, when I started Dentaltown, there were like 20 other websites, and they were all selling supplies, and they all failed. And with Dentaltown, the motto was, with Dentaltown.com, no one has to practice solo again. And, the rep carries, 60,000 SKUs, which is the same as a Kroger's grocery store like Dillon's in Kansas or Fry's in Arizona. But my rep is more valuable to me in the fact that I'm not going to use an endo file based on what someone who's never done a root canal said. But she's smart enough to know, your idol endodontist Brad Gettleman in Glendale or Jason Hale in Mesa, he switched to this. And I'm boom, 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 boom. So I think I think it's dentists are introverts, they're shy, and I think the reason they're not going to let go of their rep is for equipment, maintenance, emergencies, but just the social network.
Well, you take a look at all of the dentalsupply.coms, as you mentioned. They poured tons and tons of money into that concept. And you were the one who told me a long time ago, dentists are not going to spend half an hour to save 2 cents on a pair of gloves.
Right.
So
labor's their cost.
Yeah. So
their number one cost is, it used to be indemnity insurance where I just submit my crown's $1,000 and they pay half. Now they submit me the fee. And the PPO adjustment from when I got out of school is down about 42%. So their number one cost is adjusted production. Yeah, I bill $1,000 this crown, but Delta's only giving me $600. Number two cost is labor, 28%. Next is lab, 10%. By the time you get down to supplies, who gives a shit?
Oh, I mean, it's less than 6% of the total revenue of a practice. So, I was just looking the other day. I bought everything for my wife for Christmas on Amazon. I didn't leave the house.
What did you use? Amazon Echo? Or what's it called? Or Alexa?
I have an Echo, and I have a bigger one in my kitchen.
Well, what's Amazon? It's called Echo?
Well, Echo is the small one.
And then...
what's the other? I forget what the big one is.
Alexa, isn't it?
Yes.
Alexa.
And, now they're down to $29 for the small one and $89 for the large one.
You know why I won't get Alexa?
That's half price of what it used to be.
You know why I won't get Alexa? Remember 1984, that book, Orson Welles, where they're saying the government have all these cameras spying on you? Facebook, Apple, and Amazon, and Google, I mean not Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Google have spied on more people than any CIA, FBI, or KGB. I mean, it's just so many weird things I've seen, because everyone knows they just turn the microphone on. So if I had that in my house, would they have the microphone on all the time? Because sometimes I've had some creepy stuff. So, I'll be in the front room with the boys, and we'll be watching a movie. And then I'll go sit out on the patio, and I'll open up YouTube. And the first damn thing is the movie we're watching in there. And then a friend of mine told me the creepiest thing in the world. You know what he did as an experiment? He left on his phone with no apps open, and he sat in front of his TV and turned on the Spanish station, and then went and did dentistry all day. Came home at 5 o'clock that night, and he started having all these Spanish ads on Facebook and YouTube. Have you heard about this stuff?
No, but I know that...
this isn't a conspiracy theory. This is a dentist.
Well, this seminar that I went to about...
And dentists aren't crazy.
Well, not all of them.
What percent of dentists are crazy?
Man, you're not going to get me to bite on that one.
Well, first of all humans are crazy. They're wild animals that wear clothes. But what do you think? Do you think Patterson and Shine, what do you think will happen to them? What percent of the business do you think they'll leave?
I think they're going to continue to... there are not too many large dealers left besides those two. Benco is the biggest one besides...
Benco and Burkhart?
Burkhart, but every dealer said we're not going to sell, we're going to stay private, and they get bought out. You know, when it comes time for the next generation, they want cash. They don't want to run the business.
Yeah.
So
Burkhardt, I've been trying to get her on the show. She's fourth generation.
yeah,
She's the great-great-granddaughter of the founder. I mean, talk about an American story. It's a 100-year-old company. I mean, Americans the Fortune 500 gets all the credit, and they only employ 13% of Americans. It's all the small family businesses. Yeah. Like when I was growing up in Kansas, every one of my friends that went into wheat farming, soybean, corn, cattle, dairy, they all inherited the farm that had been in the family for centuries. I mean, it's hard to graduate from high school in Kansas and go service a debt and buy, 1,000-acre wheat farm and start buying combine. It's all family. But just like these dentists, when I go into a dental school, I say, raise your hand if someone in your family is already a dentist. Between a quarter and a third of all the hands go up.
Wow.
So business around the world is still 80% family business.
No. Well, you take a look. I mean, even here in Kansas, Getsy's been there for...
Yeah, out of Omaha or Kansas City?
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
I mean, they've been around since dirt was young.
Yeah.
I mean, they really... And they've got both houses. They've got the dental side and they got the medical side.
So you've been studying the macroeconomics of dentistry for 3 decades.
Close to that.
What do you think of the macroeconomics of dentistry? I mean, they did $109 billion last year in the United States. What do you think of the overall health of the dental industry?
Oh, I think it's certainly more healthy than the medical industry is. And the primary reason is that, the medical side is dictated to you, the patient, by whatever plan you have. With dentistry, it's, we don't expect my dental plan to cover everything. So if I've got to have a root canal, when I didn't have insurance, it cost me $1,200. And I told the guy, the endodontist, I said, if you come to my house last night, I'd give you $2,400 because it hurt so bad. But, the rest of it is with dentistry, it's still a very one-on-one business. And I think that my experience has been dentists really miss that sometimes. When I go in to just have a routine cleaning, I think the dentist is missing an opportunity if he doesn't stick his head in that operatory during that 45 minutes to go, hi, Jim, how are you? Just to continue to cement that bond between you. I went to one practice where I saw the dentist once, and I didn't see him again for a year. So I switched dentists. So I think because of that one-on-one relationship, and you're going to go there at least twice a year if you really are going to take care of your teeth, my insurance is going to pay part of it, and the rest of it is going to be private pay. And I think that, dentists who take assignment, like you said, $1,000 crown, you're only getting $600 for. I'm not sure they have to do that.
Well, when a dentist is selling the invisible, it all comes down to the human relationship and trust. And there's 2 types of dentists. There's the ones that after every dental procedure, they go back in their private office and shut the door. Whereas when you watch a basketball game, the coach is walking up and down the side court. The NFL, every damn head coach is on the goal line. I mean, they know who's offsides before, you do. And the other person in dentistry, like me, is in between patients. I always walk out in the waiting room. I mean, why would I be back in the deal? I'm walking out there, Jim, how you doing? Howard? It's just pressing the flesh. It's running for mayor.
You are fairly unique in that I have never, we've lived in, this is the 14th house that we're in, that we've owned. So we've
14th house?
Yeah, so we've moved all over the United States.
Was that mostly running from the law?
Well, the last 10 were, yeah. But, as a result of that, I've gone to more barbers and more dentists than you can shake a stick at in 8 different states. I have never had a dentist come out into the waiting room to introduce himself to new patients.
I actually think doing your 10,000th filling is not fun, exciting. I mean, you don't sit there and say, oh my God, I got to do a filling like you were in dental school. I remember the first time I was drilling on the live tooth and I actually hit dentin. I was so freaked out and excited, I actually went and got the instructor to ask him if that was really Denton, and he's just looking at me like, yeah, that's Denton, weirdo. But
which is why the patient is climbing up the wall.
yeah, but I mean, I think the only exciting part of dentistry is the patients. I mean, going out there and talking to people that have been with you for 30 years. I mean, that's the most fun. But I want to go back to macroeconomics because you have the most. I mean, I don't know anybody who's studied dental macroeconomics more than you for longer. But like when I got out of school, Orthodontic Centers of America by Lazarus out of New Orleans, he made it all the way to the New York Stock Exchange, $1 billion valuation. There were a dozen on NASDAQ. They all imploded. They all disappeared for 10 years. Now they're all back. But, you know, when Heartland's out there celebrating their 800th office and Stephen Thorne, Pacific Dental Service, celebrating their 500th office, none of these guys could go public.
No, they're all, I mean, you're right. We have this whole raft of companies, practice management companies that went public and then went bust. And what I've seen in the last 10 years is that instead of going public, I think there's only one or two left that are publicly traded. One in Denver and one in Massachusetts.
Burner out of Denver?
Yeah.
Burner, and what's the one in... Can you send me Burner Dental Management and see is still traded on NASDAQ?
Yeah.
Or is it a penny stock?
No, I think it's still on NASDAQ. What's happening, though, besides these two that are publicly traded, in the past 10 years, there have been an influx of private equity firms
right
that are supporting these practices, practice management groups, and in essence are waiting until they can help get the value up, and then they bail out and someone else comes in.
But it seems to me it's a flip between the guys who will do like 5 million and under, and then after 4 or 5 years they flip it to the guys who do like 5 to 20.
Yeah.
And then those guys flip it to the 20 to 100. I mean, they just seem to be flipping it to bigger VCs. Well, they don't seem to be.
Everybody gets the nut that they went in after, you know, and the growth that they're looking for, and then they cash out. And you're right. And the bigger fish come in.
But do you think the biggest boys on the block, your Aspens, your Heartland, your Pacific, do you think any of them could go to Goldman Sachs and do an IPO?
I think based on the history of that segment of the market, it would be damn difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, because the first thing I'm going to do if I've been around for a while is say, well, here are the list of 10 companies that were privately traded. They had the same business model that you guys are using. You know, like Interdent. Interdent was public at one time.
And they burned $20 million in cash. I was so proud. We did Dental Town in the break room. We literally had the programmers in the break room, and we did it all out of cash flow. And I was competing against 20 companies, some of them who got $20 million in VC money, and we made it. I mean, I was very proud of that. I mean, we were talking about mean and lean.
I worked for Dental Exchange.
Yeah, that was a big one.
That was a big one. They blew through somewhere between $20 and $30 million in 18 months.
Yeah. You back then, I mean, this was back in the internet heydays. It was like 1998. You go to the ADA convention or CDA, and Dental Exchange had the biggest booths, all these big signs, and here we were having a little two-wheel pulley going by, but we couldn't even afford a booth. We're just giving out our business card at the booth.
But you're still here, and they're not.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was really, you had VCs that came in who didn't know their ass from a hole in the ground in terms of dentistry. And if someone, well, Richard Lee, who founded Dental Exchange, if someone came to him and offered him, you know, $5 million for the company, will you take it? And the answer, Richard's a very smart guy. I don't know how much he got out of it, but I know he got a lot of money. And he hired me to come in simply because he wanted the name DentalFax associated with the company, and it was apparent to me when I first walked in that this place was not going to last very long. They had a 40-person sales force and didn't have anything to sell. Yeah. I mean, it was insane. Anyway, I want to go back to your question about Amazon.
Yeah.
I was amazed, it was 2 years ago at the New York meeting, that they had a booth. First time I'd ever seen them at a dental show. I thought, oh my God, as successful as they have been in the consumer market, they're just going to wipe out the dental market. But the more I looked at it and the more I thought about it, that's kind of the same model that we had with all the other companies 10, 15 years ago that were trying to sell supplies online, and none of them were successful.
Right. And I think none of them were successful because they wanted that relationship. Same thing with buying dental implants. You had Implants Direct and all these companies said, we're going to save a bunch of money, you buy it online. But everybody I know that places at least one implant per week, their rep is a key component of their team. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know anybody that places one implant a week that isn't best buddies with their rep.
Yeah. Information is king. And who's got more information about the clinical implications of their implant and the history other than that sales rep?
And the networking. Like out here, there's a bar. What's the name of that bar, Ryan, on Ray Road? Sandbar. It's over on Ray Road in Chandler, and you cross over and there's this Sandbar. And, I mean, it's like Thursday nights, this rep holds court. And what's cool about that is you're a shy introvert geek dentist, but whenever you meet them up for drinks on a Thursday night, you're going to be sitting with other periodontists, oral surgeons, dentists that have sunk 1,000, and it's that networking deal.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's like they don't know the answer, but they're like, you know what, Howard, why don't you go over to Jim Ferrell's office? He's going to do a big implant case on Thursday. Why don't I pick you up? We'll drive over there and we'll watch Jim because you're asking me about this and that and he's the master. So it's kind of that networking, running for mayor relationship deal.
I think that's where the companies that are direct, I mean, no one can afford to have a complete sales force.
Yeah.
There's a reason why all the pharmaceutical companies have 200, 300 reps. You got to have that many to cover it. Granted, there are not as many dentists as there are doctors, but still, you're going to have 50 or 60 reps to really cover the U.S. with your dental product.
Well, half the country lives in 115 cities, 115 metros. So you damn near have to have 115.
Well, when you get out west, it's like Wyoming, Montana. You may have one rep. for both of those, but I don't think that they're going to make a dent in the dental market. Yeah,
what the dentists understand is, I mean, if they want to focus on money, it's not going to be supplies. I mean, the bottom line is when they used to get $1,000 for a crown, they take an hour and a half. And then you go within a medical dental building, and some dentists are doing their crowns in a half an hour, some are 45, some are an hour, some are an hour and a half. Well, if you're accepting a 40% reduction in fee, you got to go 40% faster. And they're not doing that. And then labor. I mean, there's so many extra bodies in so many dental offices. I mean, you go to this office and it's 20 to 25% labor, and then you go across the hall and they're 28 to 32. So what he thinks he's going to fix all that by buying Impergum online through Amazon?
Yeah.
I mean, God, go faster, go easier, watch the labor, look at your lab bill.
But I want to tell you what's very interesting. Most dentists have no idea what their supplies cost because they're not the one who orders them.
Right.
And it's we were looking at one of the companies I was at was looking at needles, and one of the things we wanted to find out was, do dentists really understand what their costs are for needles? And the answer was no. Somebody else takes care of that. So, and that's what makes Amazon, you expect low prices, low service from Amazon. So you're not going to, the dentist is not going to push that.
Well, the perfect segue for you today is the reason the dentist has time to order their supplies is because they're not busy. And you started a new company, Dental Drone Services, and I think it's incredibly cool because I talk about the funnel.
Yep.
So, I mean, I've podcasted so many experts on marketing and stuff like that, and the funnel is basically 100 people have to land on your website for 5 to call, and that's only 5% call rate. But if you add like a video of your office, if you add the little chat box on the side, if you add an online scheduling template like with Open Dental, each one of those is worth about 5%. So one guy gets 100 people land on his website, and 5 will call. And another guy added the little chat box, so he's got another 5, so he's up to 10. And he put a video of himself talking about fear. Like if you go to my website, today'sdental.com, I'm talking about half the market, which is I'm afraid. And then the other half of the market is I'm afraid of the cost. So Don, my office manager, is talking about that. And and then when they call, 3 people have to call before your receptionist can convert 1 to come in the office. And then 3 people have to come in with a cavity for you to get one of them to do the filling. I'm not talking bleaching, bonding, veneer. So if you look at that funnel, 100 people have to land on your website for 5 to call. Fix that. You fix that. Very cool. And then 3 people have to call your receptionist who you hired, because since the dentist lived in the library for 8 years, he hired a librarian who has no personality, no closing skills, no training, didn't go to school. So 3 people have to call before her to convert 1. It's called the Scheduling Institute. And I'm still embarrassed that my buddy Tom Mattern told me he's a dentist across the street from me, and we went to Creighton together, and he had to tell me for 6 years, dude, you're leaving so much on the table. So after 6 years of him telling me that at least twice a year, I finally did it. It's like, oh my God, it was just a cash cow, training the front office, recording the phone calls, and listening to, when that Scheduling Institute rep came in and showed me the tape calls, because you just think, well, Dawn's been with me 20 years. She's perfect. How could she not be perfect? And then you're listening, like, oh my God. Training that. So tell me why you got into the dental drone services, and what are you doing for this 90-second edited aerial video for a dental office website for $299, 20 in-office high-resolution photos for $199, an automated slideshow of these photos for $99, and how did you end up in that?
When I sold my business on August 2nd, I was retired until September 2nd.
Yeah.
And after a month, I said, oh my God, I got to do something else. And
were you just bored?
Yeah,
bored or just wanted more money?
Oh, it's not about the money.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it for free, obviously, but this is going to be a fun thing to do, just like DentalFax was a fun thing to do. And if it's fun, it's not work.
We got a drone. Me and Zach, it's so damn fun.
Yeah, well,
and I made friends with that because of my backyard. You could see the drone take off.
Yep.
And fly around, and I was told, Zach, next time we see that, let's jump in the car. So we jumped in the car. I thought he was really far away. Turned out he only 3 blocks away, and he's a lawyer, and he just loves playing with it too.
Oh, well, it's very interesting. 2 days ago, I landed mine upside down on my roof, which is not protocol, but that's part of the learning process. No, I looked at it, and I looked at the technology of drones and aerial photography, and I got to tell you, the cameras now are just wonderful. And I thought, what do I know most about? And work-wise, it's dentistry. I've been doing that for 30 years. And I also understand that most dental websites are
lame.
They're
Jim, I can't even tell you how many dentists email me and they don't even have a website. I mean, this is 2017 and it's like 20%, and it's not age related. It's actually more geography related, like rural, small town guys in Iowa and Montana that you mentioned. Why the hell do you need a website if you're in a town of 5,000? I mean, they don't even have one.
And you're the only dentist in town. I mean,
Yeah, but you would still think their patient might want to look up the number, might want to call you.
Well, here's what was interesting, and I do a little bit of research before I get into things, and it's according to Dental Economics, and this was a study that was published in 2016. 97% of people look at a dentist's website before they call the office.
Sure.
And if you've got a boring website, and let's face it, if you're a millennial or not an old fart like us, you expect to see some high-tech stuff on a website. And I really believe that even a 90-second aerial video, because no one's looked at a dental office that way before. And it's like your office. I would do a shot of the front of the office and pull back. I would make sure that I got that little merry-go-round in front on it, just to show that, hey, we are kid-centric as well as adults. I'd take a look at your parking lot, show how many parking spaces there are, and then I would pull up really high and show how close you are to the freeway.
Well, humans are so visual. I mean, birds are all ears. They're sitting under the canvas. They remember all the sounds. But humans are all eyes. I mean, you go to a party, you say, my name is Jim Ferrell. As I'm leaving 2 hours later, my ear didn't catch that, but I know it was you. So I go up there and say, well, Jim, do you have a card? Because my opposing thumb can hang on to a card, but my ear can't hang on to a sign. So when you go to a dental office and you back out to the 4-lane intersection and say, oh, I see, he's at 48th and Elliott, right by Safeway and Chase Bank. He's right there. Boom. They only got to see it one time.
Yeah.
And they don't even have to think like, I wonder how long it'll take me to drive there. I got to find it. I got to leave early.
Well, let's take a look here. Where's the nearest dental office from today's dental?
The nearest dental office?
Yeah, from yours.
Oh my God, there's 80 of them within 5 miles.
Okay, I knew there were a lot.
Yeah, there's one everywhere.
I'm new in town, and I Google dentist in close to Awataki or whatever.
You know what the number one search is? Dentist near me.
Okay.
According to Google.
And they're going to get, 5, 10 websites. And I'm going to look at 4 or 5 of them. And none of them is going to stand out. So then I'm going to look for the one that's closest. Or I'm going to look at the one that has got a shot of a drone videography, even if it's 90 seconds. That's going to blow them away compared to what they're going to look at the other 4 websites. The other thing that I'm looking at doing is, it works in the real estate market, which is to have pictures inside a home. I mean, anytime you look at a home on the website now, a realtor's website, you expect to see internal shots. What we normally have in a dental website is headshots of the people. No inside shots. You guys have a CIRAC, right?
Yeah.
I sure as hell would have a picture of a CIRAC. I bet you've got a pan as well, don't you?
Yep, CBCT.
I'd have a
We got a $100,000 3-dimensional MRI or CAT scan in there.
Okay. I would have pictures of all that on my website, and that's why I'm saying have an automated slideshow as opposed to, one page filled with images. And what would I highlight? An operatory is an operatory is an operatory unless you got brand new equipment or, state-of-the-art equipment. You at least want one shot of an operatory. You got an in-house lab. I'd want to picture that to show people that, hey, we don't have to send everything out. We do a lot of the stuff inside. Why? Because it saves you time, patient. I mean, that's the whole rationale for the CIRAC machine. It's been around 25 years, and it's still selling like crazy. Why? More and more people want convenience. They'll pay for convenience. So my whole shtick here with this is to say to dentists, hey, you want to differentiate yourself? With this package of videos and photographs, if this gets you one new patient, it's just paid for.
Right.
One patient. Now, what's the lifetime value of a patient now in dentistry?
I would say it's the same as ortho, about $6,500. The orthodontist recaptured in 2 years. The general dentist about 5 years, and then the patient's flipping. So, right, so $6,500 over 5 years.
So if in one
and if I was you, who I would target the most, general dentist, about 10 or 15% don't even have a website. The next 75% are just lame. Just incredibly, and to get a general dentist to pay 3% on advertising, that's pretty successful to talk them into that.
Yeah.
Orthodontists routinely pay 6-7% because each start is $6,500. And my God, you got 10,000 orthodontists. I would be targeting orthodontists. Every orthodontist I know spends $60,000 to $75,000 a year on advertising.
Wow. They're
so sophisticated because it's a higher deal. That's why all the plastic surgeons, Because if I can get you in for a facelift, tummy tuck, boob job, or whatever, I mean, you're talking 6 to 8 grand. So
you're telling me my prices are too low?
Well, the average new patient for the whole country of 322 million people is only a little under $400.
Okay,
but for the orthodontist, it's $6,500 on that first visit.
This whole package is less than $600.
Yeah. So it's 10% of one start.
Yeah.
So for 10% of one start, and then your email is info@dental-drone.video. I didn't even know there was a .video.
Yep,
There's
they
.net.
Just came out with it, and as soon as I saw it, I snapped that sucker up.
Nice.
And then I've got the 800 number. It's one of those
888-257-5434. 888-257-5434. info@dental-drone.video. It's about $600. Your average ortho start at $6,000. I mean, these dentists are, I mean, it's so crazy. Like, you'll say, well, go study Dr. Richard Litt's ortho program. Because it's 5-6 grand, but your first ortho case is 5-6 grand. Or Brock Rondeau. I mean, some things are just immediate return on investments.
Yeah.
And they just need to do it. I also believe, a lot of people think Google's a monopoly, and a lot of people like Professor Scott Galloway are saying they should be broken up. But Google competes massively with Bing, owned by Microsoft, who was in the 94 to 2000 bubble and into the same bubble down. They got Yahoo. And I think that on website SEO, when you're listening to some guy at a Holiday Inn and he's an expert on SEO, it's like, dude, if you're an expert, why don't you go tell Microsoft, because they got tens of thousands of employees and they don't know what Google's algorithm is doing, but the guy at the Holiday Inn does. You know what I mean? And but that's why. I think your website has to have YouTube videos owned by Google. The damn email should be a Gmail account. I mean, there's dentists in there, you go to their website, and their website email is at yahoo.com. It's like, nobody but Sergey Brin and Larry Page knows what's in that algorithm. I'm pretty sure he doesn't like an email at yahoo.com or at AOL, but man, put a YouTube video in there, put a Gmail, and also you got to keep changing your website. So Google, they know that if there's 80 dentist office in Ahwatukee, and you haven't changed anything on your website in 5 years, they call it dark. But then you have your website and you just upgraded a YouTube video of the dentist, instead of a stock photo, no website, or a mugshot photo, but actually a YouTube video of you talking for a minute. And then your financial quarter talking about cost for a minute. And like I say, go to my website, today'sdental.com, for an example. And then this is just damn high tech.
Yep.
And if your website is really good, but you haven't done anything for a year, it's worth $600 just to do something, do anything. That's why it's so important for you to have a blog. Just blog something once a month. Just fall down with a pencil in your hand. Do something. Just say flossing's great. I mean, but do something, because Google wants to see a hot site. And if you think that they're sleeping at the wheel when you got Microsoft, which just bought LinkedIn. I mean, Microsoft, if Microsoft lost $1 billion, would they even care?
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, Microsoft can throw billions at Bing and not even care. So, trust me, Google wants to maintain that 95% monopoly by, when you search for a dentist near me, they're going to try to really push you to the best rockin' hot dentist they can find.
Yeah. And one of the things I considered, and I haven't decided yet, is I was looking at Oral Health America, Give Kids a Smile, the ADA program, and the Arizona Dental Foundation. Just flat out taking whatever people buy and giving 10% of that's one of those. Let them designate which of those 3 dental charities.
Could you donate it to my dental alimony fund?
I don't think I'm going to be able to do that.
Oh, man. Gosh darn.
I'm not going to make that much money.
Really, you're going to pick Oral Health America over the Dentist Alimony Fund?
Yeah, I think so. So I don't know if dentists would respond to that any more than...
Well, that's called cause marketing.
Which, like I told you before, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing it to keep busy, and I think it's going to be a benefit to the dentist, or I wouldn't do it.
I think cause marketing is far more a thing with millennials than baby boomers like me. I do know some really neat stories from being out there in the field and talking to dentists on Dental Town, where, like in San Francisco, a couple of dentists have said they're off the grid. So they're solar powered. So they put solar powered office, and they're a dental office with no carbon footprint. They're off the grid. These dentists are telling me they get millennial freaks driving an hour in a petroleum burning car to go to the dental office off the grid. And so that's cause marketing. But again, I pointedly asked them, I said, are these old guys like me, or are they young millennials? They go, oh, no, they're young, hippie millennials. But so you're talking about cause marketing. There used to be a big community called the eco-friendly.
Yeah.
The eco-friendly deal. And again, when I was lecturing that group in Utah, and I was asking them, it was all about getting certified of being eco-friendly. Everything's biodegradable and recyclable and all this stuff like that. And a lot of the guys were telling me that they thought it was cool, but they had a material impact on new patients, because when people go to that website and see that you were off the grid, you were solar powered, that was a big deal. And I need to get on the ball and do that, because my dental office, I had a solar company come out there, and they looked at it. It's a 4,000 square foot square in sunny Arizona, and they said, dude, you haven't done anything under the roof. Like, you should, so when you walk out of a room, the lights turn off, So there, he was telling me that you'd best spend your money under the roof
rather than on top.
Yeah, I mean, he said, you're not doing one thing smart underneath the ceiling. Fix that, and then go to solar. And we haven't really fixed that. But SRP now has a deal where they have solar farms out there. So you can pay a little more to SRP, where all your electricity would come from a solar panel. So I could say solar-powered dental office, no carbon footprint, whatever. I need to do that.
Well, the house that we bought in Verado, which is out in Buckeye, I have 12 solar panels on my roof. And the builder Meritage, that was a big deal 4 years ago, that every house they sold had that. So I have got a 125-gallon hot water heater. I've never seen one that large before. And it's all heated by solar. 3 of the panels out of the 12 are dedicated to the hot water heater. And I mean, it's hot.
Yeah.
So I don't,
Well, solar is so amazing because the price keeps coming down. So right now, your dirty, filthy fuels like coal are actually the most expensive. They're like 5-6 cents on the unit. Nuclear, solar, and wind used to always be 3 cents, half the price of natural gas. But solar just fell to 2, and a lot of people think within a year or two it'll fall to 1 cent per whatever unit they're all comparing on. But right now everybody's going to get environmentally friendly, not because of it's the right thing to do or global warming. It's because it's the cheapest.
Yeah.
I mean, no, there's not an investor on Wall Street that would go build a coal-fired plant.
No, and just politically, no one wants to build nuclear plants anymore. Especially, you look at what happened in Japan. I mean, I'm not sure when California just shut down
and Germany voted to close all theirs down.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with the nuclear is that, it's been totally safe in America always. And that whole Japan thing is so irrational because they survived a 10 on the earthquake. They just weren't planning on a tsunami. But what's funny is the amount leaking out there, and everybody just has this huge hissy fit. Do they not realize that this country and Soviet Union exploded 1,800 atomic bombs above ground? I mean, that's like me taking a piss in the ocean versus, all the blue whales pissing. I mean, these were above ground explosions. I mean, thousands of them.
But nobody remembers that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, our memory in America is about 2 days. I mean, what's the news cycle?
Yeah.
If they can wrench 8 hours out of a news cycle, that's a lot. And then we're on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I have, since you're Mr. Dentistry, is what do you think And I'm not interested in going to the whole world with this. I'm interested in, there are enough dentists here in Arizona that I could be fat, dumb, and happy for several years. What do you think is the best way to get this message out to them?
Well, considering that I've been fat, dumb, and happy for 55 years, well, I mean, Dentaltown has got 250,000 dentists on there.
Are you able to segment by?
So there's 50 forms: root canals, fillings, crowns. One of them is marketing. The number one thing you should do is we let people like dentists and whatever have one thread for commercial. So if you're out there and you're a lecturer and you always want to, you can have one thread. I'm Tommy Murphy. Here's my next course, whatever. So you should start one thread and you should talk about what you do. And every time you go do a video of a dental office, you should post on the dental marketing thread. I mean,
okay.
that's so the currency really in marketing. No one wants to hear this. When I got out of school, just brute money, but like the big brands. When we were little, ABC, CBS, NBC. If you were Procter and Gamble or Gillette, and you could buy all those $1 million spots, you could create Tide and Rice Krispies and all the brands. And now that's decimated with 1,000 channels on cable and 300 million websites. So the real currency now is time. When I got out of school, if you just bought the full page ad in the yellow pages, it was $1,000 a month, but it'd always be 30 new pages. You just can't force feed social media. It's about time. The currency is time, not money. So it's just a matter of you, every time you do a new video, logging on with your time, not giving me money to run an ad, but just logging on, going into marketing and saying, here's another video we did, and then trying to get that customer, that dentist to go log on afterwards and said, tell me it was a return on investment or not, or,
Yeah. Well, what is interesting, because I told you I'm a member of the Sky Network, which is a national organization of people who use drones commercially. So it is possible that if I went to Heartland and said, hey, here's a deal for 800 websites.
Yeah.
I couldn't cover that personally geographically, but this network has got people in every state. And once we had this template done, they could pick it up.
Yeah. And you can even find other townies on that website to do that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much what I'm looking at doing right now. And it's still, I'm not rushing into it. I'm doing everything very slowly, very methodically. For $600, it's an offer you.
Well, when you're out there, I'd add more a la carte things. I would do the United States, everybody who has research on marketing, like Howie Horrocks and New Patient Inc., they've actually funded research at UCLA, big universities. And half this country is afraid of the dentist, and half this country is afraid of costs. So when you're going out there, you got a 90-second edited aerial video for $299. 20 in-office high-resolution photo, $199. Automated slideshow, $99. I would add a 1-minute interview with the dentist, upgrade his stock photo. It looks like he had a mugshot at a DUI to a minute video and say, Doc, I want you to talk about fear. And then who talks money in that office? Is it the office manager? Is it treatment plan coordinator? Who is going to close the deal? And then a minute or her, and the dentist video, are you afraid of the dentist? Come on, really? That's why I went to school. I grew up in a family, I'm not going to say who it was because it might get back to my mother, but she was afraid of the dentist. And I find it personally, it's such a challenge to take someone who's completely afraid and relax them and settle them down. We got nitrous oxide, raise your hand, we'll stop. I can even have an anesthesiologist come in here and put you to sleep. If you're afraid of the dentist, I'm your guy. I want to see you. And then your office manager, then Don goes on, are you afraid of the dental bill? Oh, come on. We can almost do it. And here's the key on that. The 3 publicly traded dental companies that I know of, 2 are in Australia, Pacific Smiles and 1300 Smile. The other one's H&Q or Q&M. And they have bullseye that the key on cost is we can fix you up from A to Z for $99 a week. If I said 99
five
times
grand, a little
4,
over $5,000 a year.
That's $396. $396. There's a lot of people who, after their house payment or car payment, didn't drop $396 on something. But when you say $99 a week, I mean, if you and your wife go to Macayo's Mexican restaurant, how much does that cost?
Yeah.
I mean, $99. I mean, they just dropped $99 on mascara at the mall. You know what I mean? I mean, when these
and that's
girls,
just the guys.
yeah, when these girls go in and get the bleach thing and the hair tints and all that shit like that, I mean, they're dropping major coins. So,
But they don't put that.
so add a video for $99, the doc talking for a minute on fear, and then another $99, the lady talking, because you're already in there shooting video. So interview them. And if they got a long-term player staff, like say they got a hygienist that's been there a decade, interview her.
It's a good idea.
That's the first person I ever said one of my ideas is good. Thank you, Jim. I want to tell you something. We're talking about the hygienist. These are the 10 lies of dental hygienists. I'll have you out of here in an hour. This won't hurt a bit. Flossing gets easier with practice. If it hurts, raise your hand and I'll stop. The new flavor of fluoride tastes much better. Some patients fall asleep in my chair. I'm really gentle. That wasn't too bad, was it? I know it must be hard to floss with tight teeth. And number 10, the biggest lie hygienists tell, the dentist should be in shortly. But, yeah, I would add those two things,
All right.
you know.
Well,
And by the way, what is it when a dentist website doesn't have a picture of the dentist? I mean, god dang, how butt ugly are you? I mean, even if you're a cyclops with one eye, you still got to disclose this. I mean, you don't want them to come in shocked. Really, these websites, and I know my homies, and what it was is, if they're my age, they don't even remember the dental convention they were at. They were at a booth. They wrote some guy a check for $5,000. They built a website. They haven't even looked at it since, and that might have been 10, 20 years ago.
yeah.
So you got to get on Dental Town and say, dude, if you haven't done anything to your website in 5, 10 years, you got to do something. You know, something. And I think adding a YouTube video owned by Google, which is 95% of searches, a Gmail account, another YouTube video, you know, get some YouTube videos in there. Anytime someone goes to the site and hits play, you get another view.
Well, yeah, and there's no reason.
I'm sure Google's tracking the views, because when you open up YouTube, what are all the videos they serve up? Things that have been viewed 1,000,000 times.
And it's quite possible to take this same video and put it on YouTube. It
Yeah.
might be in a different format, but that's no big deal.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's multiple ways that this information can be used, just the way it is right now.
Yeah.
So what I would like, I don't know if we're still on or not, if you want to include this or not, but what I would like to offer you, Howard, is right after the new year, because we got family coming in from out of town, blah, blah, blah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. No, these are okay.
There's a liquor store between here and the interstate when you go back home.
Oh, I'm stocked up already. I'd like to go ahead and do this with...
Well, that's pretty cool, because my son has a drone, and I've asked him to do this for my office for almost a year, Zachary. But, yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah, and here's the deal. I just ordered a new $2,000 Canon camera that I'm going to use for the internal shots. And that's coming this week, so I got to play around with that. But, yeah, sometime around, you know, January 7th, 8th, I ought to have everything together, and I'd like to come out to your office and spend an hour or so and do this.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool.
All right.
How close do you think is Amazon from delivering their packages with drones?
4 or 5 years.
Oh, it's that far out?
I think so, because the FAA is trying to figure out what the hell to do with all of the people who own drones now. And so if I'm going to do this commercially, I have to take an exam that the AA or the FAA demands that you take if you're going to operate a drone commercially. It's they call it the 107 exam. And if you have a drone that weighs less than 50 pounds and you're just doing it for fun, you don't have to register. You don't have to get a license at all. You do. New rule is you do have to register, and it costs $5. Your drone, your name with the FAA. That's okay. But you do run into some problems. I'm very close to Luke Air Force Base,
That's right.
And I am about a mile from the circle that's drawn around Luke. So if I went a mile closer to Luke, I couldn't fly without getting approval from them.
Well,
But
there's
as long
already
as
been
I'm
some
not-
newspaper stories of people walking down their backyard with a 12-gauge shotgun and shooting down a drone.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because even though it's your property, you don't control the air right to it. The FAA does.
Yeah.
So you want to take a shotgun and shoot my drone?
And a lot of people don't own the water rights underneath their house
So
either.
you shoot my drone down, I'm going to take your ass to court and I'm going to win.
My son Zachary's got a drone, but it is just so cool, man. I mean, watching the videos, like the first time he did it, I mean, I had no idea what 4 boys had left on the roof of the house, and it's just really, really, really fun.
Any girls up there that haven't come down yet? Or?
No girls, but God, I think that's even going to be a privacy issue. I mean, I thought it was very weird that we're sitting here looking at a camera and it's flying over the backyards down the street, and you see people sitting in their backyard and all this stuff. And
Well, but
that was one of the reasons I actually jumped in my car to find one, because this guy, I didn't know how far away because it's so small. Turned out he's only 2 blocks away, but he's flying around the yards. I'm thinking, who is this and what are they doing? It's just some lawyer having a blast. And you know what he does with it? This is my. I'll close on this. This is my one of my biggest fantasies. He has the same fantasy I do. He's a lawyer. He likes to follow the javelinas and the coyotes. So living out here, the only reason I still have a water fountain. Almost everybody has a water fountain. After 4 or 5 pumps into it, they just let it go or tear it out. But the reason I keep my fountain going is because I'm across from this huge South Mountain Park where there's no water. And at least once a month, at like 5 or 6 in the morning when it's still dark, I look out the window, open that door, and there might be 15 javelinas drinking out of that.
Really?
Or 4 or 5 coyotes. And my big fantasy was I always want to get I always want to dart them, put them to sleep, and put like a GoPro, like a solar-powered GoPro, and just
See where they go?
Just one day in the life of Phoenix Coyote, or one day in the life of a javelina, and that's what he likes too. He just likes finding the javelina herd or the coyote herd, and he's already found where they bed down during the day, and their human animals are very habitual, so they have their little rounds, their trails where they go, and I think that's pretty cool wildlife.
Well, what's also interesting is, according to FAA regulations, you can take these puppies as high as 400 feet. That's the limit. And I got to tell you, I've had mine up to 200 feet, and I can't see the damn thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting small, especially if it's smaller and smaller, and I'm going to go out in the middle of a big field to take it up to 400 feet, where I got a shot at seeing it, because the last time it went behind my house at 200 feet, and I could hear it, but I couldn't see it.
Well, right across the street from me, that South Mountain Park, it goes all the way from 48th Street to 51st Avenue.
Wow.
Are you a big fan of South Mountain Park?
No.
My favorite hike is if you go to 48th Street. How many miles is it? I think it's an 18-mile hike. It's an all-day hike. I mean, it's just an amazing park. But I couldn't think of a better place than right here in Ahwatukee on that South Mountain Park. There's all kinds of entrances to that park, but it's a monster park.
Wow.
And if you climb up to the ridge, there's actually another big valley, then another ridge. So that middle valley in between, I mean, my God, you could launch SpaceX in that thing. I mean, I'm surprised Elon Musk hasn't bought it. I mean, it's just a huge, huge valley.
Wow, that's neat.
It's the largest city park in America.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah, and if you look at the size of South Mountain Park and you put Central Park from Manhattan in it, it looks like a little domino on this. I mean, it's a huge park.
Wow.
It's a monster park, so that's where I'd take it up.
I can do that. And what's interesting is it's 400 feet above whatever you're filming. So if there was a...
So 4 football fields. No, right?
Well,
no, football field.
Football
is
field and
300
a
feet.
third, yeah. So, but let's say there's a one of those big windmills like you see in on the way to California. I can go 400 feet above that Now, if I'm not filming an object, I can only go up 400 feet. But if I'm going to take a look at your roof, I could go 400 feet above your roof. If I'm just standing out in the middle of the street, I can only go up 400 feet above street level. But from what I've seen, that's plenty.
Yeah, but all these things are what I call unenforceable laws. I mean, how would anybody know how high your jaw was off the ground?
Yeah. Well, that's one of those things. I know a pilot, young guy who's a pilot at Luke, and he does a lot of training, and he said, keep it below 400 feet. No one's going to know.
Well, hey, man, that was a fast hour. I can't believe that we went over an hour. My God. You drove an hour to get here. It's the Saturday before Christmas. Christmas is Monday. No, it's Friday, right? Jim, thank you for 30 years of the Dental Fax Weekly, which now you sold that, and that is called the Dental Fax.
F-A-C-T-S.
The DentalFax.com. And if you ever talk to those guys, you got to have him come on the show. And Tom Jacoby, he does the weekly County Newswire. And you supplied him all that information. I mean, he had all these great stories, and you fed him all that stuff. And thank you so much for being a friend for 30 years, for so much information, so much valuable insight. And I hope you get on Dental Town and go into marketing and start posting all your videos.
I plan on it.
And focus on the orthodontist, because they'll spend $60,000, $70,000 a year. And you homies, when was the last time you even looked at your own damn website? And when you go to your website, you got to do something. You got to change something, add something, or Google thinks it's dark. But thanks again for all that you do for dentistry. Great to see you.
It's been a pleasure.